is Ange. Uh, I've so in the 10 years I've been reading visual novels, I've accumulated a bunch of visual novel related physical merch, and I realized I haven't really shared it all too often. So I'm going to use this video to kind of quickly show what I have all throughout my house. And actually, starting with which, I'm actually currently wearing a T-shirt of Kotori Kanbei from Rewrite. I believe I got it from a uh, a stall at an anime expo, but I believe you can get it on the Sekai Project or store. I'm not really sure. But anyway, that's just the first one. Let's go to the next stuff. So now we're going to talk about the physical copies of visual novels I have. So the first two we have up here are Crescendo and Yume Miru Kusuri. These are actually the first two physical copies of visual novels I ever bought, and actually kind of did a blind buy of them only because an online friend I knew a long time ago just said these were good, and I hadn't bought a physical copy before, so I figured I'd just give these a shot. And thankfully, I ended up liking them, though I mostly enjoyed Yume Miru Kusuri much more. Over here, I actually have a copy of the PC version of Remember 11. This is one of those visual novels where definitely totally did not read it on PC first digitally before reading it physically, but definitely one of my favorite mystery visual novels and one that I think is pretty underrated. Over here, I have Majikoi A Hound After, which is basically the Margit after story, since it comes after her A5 route. I haven't quite read this one yet, unfortunately. And here we have the physical version of Doki Doki Literature Club Plus. I basically got this because there's a bunch of physical merch that came with this version, and which I'll show later. But on Switch, whenever I read or play anything on Switch, I generally prefer to have physical versions since I can have a cartridge and save space and such. So having more visual novels on the Switch was good, especially before the Steam Deck was announced. Speaking of Switch VNs, now I have the Grisaya trilogy. As you can see, the text is in Japanese, and that's because I imported it from Japan through PlayAsia or something. Unfortunately, the official English version does not have a physical version, but thankfully, the Japanese physical version has a way to change text to English in game, so I was able to read all of this. And thankfully, the trilogy has like all the little fan discs, like the Afterglow of Grisaya and stuff like that. Now I have Alcana. So Alcana was kind of sort of a blind buy. I actually bought the PC version since it came out way before the Switch version, but I purposefully did not read the VN until I got the Switch version because at the time there was no Steam Deck announced, and I just wanted more visual novels to read on the go. And Alcana was the perfect one since it had a fun, solid slice of life with sports story, and it definitely like that one. Over here, I have the PC version of Sujiro-san no Junai Road. It was by Minato Carnival, a sub company of Minato Soft. Not as good as Machikoi, but it's still a fun one. Speaking of Machikoi, I actually have two different separate physical copies. The first one here is actually an import from Japan of the 18 plus version. I think there was some merch in here that I liked, but I actually bought this before Jast announced their version, so I definitely wanted at least one copy, just in case it never got translated officially. But thankfully, Jast did indeed create their own physical version, and I definitely took the opportunity to pre-order that as soon as I could. And thankfully, Jast actually ships in a timely manner, so I was able to get this for the physical goods and to further support like the bazillion of copies I have of this series. Over here, I have the Vita version of If My Hearted Wings or Konosora Cruise Sign. This is actually a console port of just the original If My Hearted Wings and Flight Diary, the fan discs. And this is actually where the Akari route, aka the DLC for Flight Diary, first originated. So the Akari route on Steam is actually the first time anyone could read that route on PC. You would have to have read it on this Vita or PS4 version at first. while we're on the topic of If My Hearted Wings, I got the Moe novel uh, Switch port for If My Hearted Wings, mostly because it had some physical goods, but mostly this little uh, mini cartridge of If My Hearted Wings. I'm definitely not going to reread this version though, since it doesn't have the 18 plus content and has I'm pretty sure has the old Moe novel translation still in it. I have the original version of Higurashi Kai by Manga Gamer, and by original version, I mean the one with like the funny looking art and hand hands. So I'm definitely not. I think I only read this. I like I only bought this because at the time I didn't have many physical visual novels, and I figured, well, if I like the anime, since I read the anime, I watched the anime long before I read the VN. I figured I get this one and just try it out because all my favorite arcs were in the answer arcs anyway. Now over here we have a Japanese import of the original rewrite. There is some nice merch in here, but I just wanted to have a copy of the visual novel that has one of my all-time favorite visual novels, Kotori. Speaking of, I also have a Japanese version or Japanese version import of Harvest Festa, aka the fan disc of Rewrite. I believe this also had some merch, but for the most part, I just wanted to support more stuff with Kotori in it. Now we just have to wait for Sekai Project to actually finish the Harvest Festa English translation, as well as them actually releasing their physical goods, whenever that'll be. Okay, where do we go now? Going over here now, we have the covers for my Steam Deck and Switch. I was able to nab a bunch of visual novel related stickers to put on these. Starting with the Switch, I have a sticker of Matsukaze from Majikoi. This is very limited. You could have only gotten this if you went to the JAST panel at Anime Expo 2019. So if you weren't there, you're shit out of luck. I got this Kotori Kanbei sticker. Key, I believe, a few years ago was having this limited sale. Maybe it's still going, but there were some stickers of various key characters, and naturally Kotori was on there, so I immediately jumped onto that one. This Sayori from Doki Doki Literature Club is one of the merch you could get from the physical version of Doki Doki Literature Club Plus. When I went to PAX West in 2022, I got a signature from Dan Salvato himself, so I guess that's another cool way to make the Switch copy, my Switch deck or Switch case a little bit better. Now moving on to the Steam Deck, I've kind of cleaned this up a little bit to hopefully free more space for more Weeb stuff, but right now I just have another Sayori sticker, which is also from the DDLC Plus physical version, as well as a Cinnamon from Nekopara sticker. Somebody gave this to me. I think, oh no, wait, no, I got this from the Sekai Project booth from Anime Expo 2022. I didn't care about the other characters, so I just threw them away. Speaking of Anime Expo, from one of the older ones, I got this fan of Rewrite Plus. I think this was the year that Sekai Project announced that they were translating Rewrite Plus, like back in 2018, 2017, whenever that was. I haven't really used this much as a fan, like to actually fan myself, but maybe I should going forward. I've been playing a bunch of trading card games recently, but more specifically the Digimon one. And I've been happily found a reason to use these card deck boxes and card sleeves that I've had for a while. So for card deck boxes, I have Kotori from Rewrite and Wanko from Majikoi. For my main Digimon deck, I'm using Ayame from Suki Suki, or If You Love Me Then Say So. For the Digi-Eggs, I'm using Lena from Senran Banka. I also have Kotori card sleeves, but I'm kind of just probably going to use that for a side deck or possibly other decks of other Digimon card games going forward, but we'll see. Now I'm going to go to the various posters I have or wall scrolls throughout my house. So as you can see on my refrigerator, I have a very long poster of Mashiro from Making Lovers. I imported this from Mandarake, and it looks like this was an official SME approved or SME developed poster. There's actually a lewd side under this poster, but I'm not going to show it because I don't want YouTube to delete this video. Over here, I got a 2019 calendar by Minato Soft of the Majikoi series. There's some kind of lewd pictures on here, but whatever. I got this from a friend who went to, I believe it was Comic Kit back in 2018 or 2019, got it for me. So pretty nice to have more Majikoi official merch on here. Speaking of calendars, I have this really old one of Bokuten Why I Became an Angel. I'm pretty sure this is the year it released or the year after in Japan. And it's just nice to have Bokuten merch because this is a visual novel that's one of my favorite genre ones. And it's pretty hard to find merch of this period at all. Oh, going to a new wall. Up here we have a folder of D2B versus Deer Drops, aka the Deer Drops fan disc, which I'm kind of using as a makeshift poster. I believe I got this from a manga gamer booth at Anime Expo. The Deer Drops and Kita, well, I guess mostly Deer Drop series is one of my favorite visual novels. Definitely, probably my favorite music related visual novel that's slice of life heavy. Under here, we have a poster from Under One Wing. Funny story about this one. So, when Soul Press was still alive, the company was actually only a 30-minute drive away from me. So, the head of Soul Press, Xaviex, invited me a few times to just hang out. And one of the last times I went, I specifically requested a poster from this since this was my favorite visual novel that they published. So, was definitely happy to get a poster, especially now that Soul Press isn't really alive anymore. Going to this wall, definitely one of my favorite wall scrolls is this custom one I got of the final CG of the original Majikoi. I won't say spoilers of what it is, but I'll just say the Kazama family is definitely one of my, if not my favorite group of main characters in visual novels. So having a group of them up here was definitely nice to have since most of the merch doesn't cover the bro characters or Yamato at all. This is not a visual novel. Going here, we have Symphonic Rain. So an interesting story about this one. So the publisher was at Anime Expo, I believe in 2018 or 2017, and they had a booth that had a bunch of demos for the games they had, but one of them was the Steam release of Symphonic Rain. And considering that this is kind of a niche cult classic favorite in this visual novel scene, I definitely had to get what's likely the only merch of this series I'll ever get. And I'm glad that, they were able to show up that one year because I was really happy to snag a few of these for some people and myself, of course. Highly recommend Symphonic Rain, by the way. Down here, I have a big wall scroll of Asuho from Hoshizora no Memoria. I do like Asuho, and she's definitely my best girl from Hoshimemo, but I've kind of cooled off a little bit on her and Hoshimemo in general, so might move this poster around, but I still like her and the poster. Over here, I have a little small poster of Ayame from Suki Suki and that redhead girl I don't really like from Farther Than the Blue Sky. But yeah, I basically got this specifically for Ayame, who's one of my more recent favorites from visual novels. Just kind of sucks her route from Suki Suki, or If You Love Me Then Say So wasn't that good, but I definitely like having her around, and thankfully this seems to be official artwork before the company went Chewable Soft kind of went under. Over here, we actually have a poster I imported from If My Heart Had Wings Flight Diary. I think I can't remember if I got it from Yahoo Auctions, probably Japanese Yahoo Auctions. But since this is one of those series where I like basically all the main characters, I wanted to get the closest thing to having all of them on the picture. And thankfully, just about all of them except Akari were able to make it on. So pretty cool to have pull top representation on here. Over here, these are the the wall scrolls, or I guess cardboard cutouts that I wake up to every morning, which is pretty cool. So the first one I wake up to is this really hilarious Mashiro Tsukino from Making Lovers wall CG that SME themselves actually put on sale like a year ago, and I definitely paid way too much for this, but I'm not gonna lie, might actually be my favorite merch I have in my house at the moment. It's just freaking hilarious to just wake up to something like this. All I need to do is color the wall around it just to match it more. And here I have a custom cardboard of Hinami from Skyfall of Stars or Miyazora. I could link the site that I imported this from, or I got this custom made from below. But since Hinami's didn't really have any safe for work art, like literally all she had is some Dakimakura that's kind of hard to find now, and I don't really like Dakis that much. I have pretty much had to settle for just getting something custom for her, and I definitely like this CG. It's pretty fitting of her. And over here, I have a official wall scroll. I think it's official wall scroll of the rewrite version of Kotori and Shizuru, and of course Chibi Moth. I actually like the rewrite anime art and adaptation, and having my two favorite, both rewrite girls, and honestly, They're easily my two favorite key girls ever on a wall scroll up here. It's pretty nice to have kind of like front and center in my apartment. Um, speaking of Dakimaku, speaking of Dakimaku, speaking of Dakimakuras, I've never actually bought one myself, so I was pleasantly surprised when I was gifted one for my birthday, like way back in, I think it was like 2015 or 2016 or something. But yeah, this Kotori Dakimakura or body pillow is basically the only one I have right now, and honestly, it's pretty much the only one I need. Like, there's definitely a loot set on the other side, but I'm not going to show it because I don't want YouTube to eat me. So I actually have a cool few mugs from visual novels. The first one I have here is from If My Heart Had Wings. I think I imported this from Yahoo Japan. Um, it just has. It's based on Flight Dart, and it just has the few of the main girls in there. It has Hotaru. It has Isuka. Oh no, that's Kanako. Sorry. Kotori, Amani, and this is actually Isuka. So pretty cool to have more visual novel related mugs because I like to drink coffee and tea a lot. Speaking of, I was actually able to import one of A Sky Full of Stars as well. This just has the main four heroines from the original, so it's Hikari, Orihime, Saya, and Corona. Unfortunately, at work, I have one of Marshmallow All the Way Home, which has the four main heroines, but I forgot to bring it here for the video, so I'll just have to post a picture on that later. Speaking of my job, I'm going to end off with some of the merch that I've show off at work, minus a couple of things. Like, for example, one of my friends from the Majikoi server gave this Miyako. I guess you can call this like a cup holder. But as you can see, it's a little dirty. I'm not really good at keeping things clean, but this Miyako picture is definitely very amusing, and she's probably my favorite of the original five heroines. So I'm happy that I got this given to me. So these are the stickers and cutouts of DDLC Plus that I got. So right as you can see, I'm only using Sayori because she's easily my favorite girl from the series. I haven't used any of the others yet, but I'm definitely happy to give these away if anyone's in the USA and wants them. From the Jast Majikoi set, it came with these little acrylic keychains of the five main heroines. I'm not really hanging them because I'm not really good with securing keychains on anything. So for now, they're just kind of chilling. But I definitely like seeing them around because they're all pretty great characters, except maybe for Momoyo. One of my friends in Japan went to Comic Ket for that Manchko event I was talking about earlier, and they got a bunch of Minato Soft and Minato Carnival pins. these are a few of the ones I have. I'm planning on giving away this one eventually to someone I know, but the other three are kind of up for grabs, so just more stuff that I might just give away. So I'm not really a. I don't really plan on playing Weiss Schwarz, but if I did, I would definitely make a rewrite themed deck, and I just bought a few Kotori cards just because I like that. It's kind of fun to collect more visual novel stuff because I'm the Weiss Schwarz card game has some visual novel themes like Grisaya, but of course I only just got ones of my favorites, which include Kotori. Under the card is actually a interesting little cardboard whatchamacallit thing that Key was doing a few years ago. So they had these like weird gotcha boxes where you could get random merch of various key characters, and they you could only get these through those random box or those gotcha boxes. But they might sell them individually now, but at the time they were only definitely only randomized. Thankfully, I was able to get at least one, if not two, Kotori stuff, and one of them was the lewd CG of her from the original, and I'm covering it just in case the YouTube decide to get me for that. There's a couple more Majikoi keychains that I got from someone who went to Japan for Comic Con. They had a bunch of the main heroines, and Miyako's, like I said, was my favorite of the original five heroines. And while Kokoro isn't one of my top favorites anymore, there was a point where she was like a top three favorite heroine. I definitely still like her. This you're seeing a lot of Miyako here, but I think this is like one of those heat or frozen pads you can use. I still haven't found a practical use for it yet, but it's fun to have more Majikoi stuff. When I went to the Sekai Project panel at Anime Expo 2022, they announced Inupara, and they were giving out these goofy, totally not memed Inupara Doge meme or whatever. I'm like not sure if I want to eat Inupara, but figure I might as well have this just because I like dog girls more than cat girls, I guess. This is another Weiss Schwarz card of Kotori I got. And we'll see if I make a whole deck, but I heard that card game's degenerate, so I probably won't collect any more besides Kotori. Speaking of Kotori, this is definitely the biggest visual novel figure I have at the moment. I'm definitely satisfied with it being Kotori because this is a pretty good one because this one's like, I'm pretty sure only like 30, $40. Like, it's not one of those like $100 super figures. So has Kotori and probably my favorite outfit of hers, and has a little chibi moth down there. Pretty nice. So as much as I complain about Ubisoft, I do like a bunch of heroines by them. So I imported a few keychains and pins. So far, I only have Koharu and Lena from Senran Banka and Wakana from Sound of a Witch. Might do more. Like, maybe I'll get Shirley from Almairo Isle sometime, but I'm pretty satisfied with these three so far. Oh, this is another pin of the green-haired girl from Sujito. Unfortunately, this one is not for grabs. This is like one of the only characters I like that I got from that friend, so definitely keeping this one. And this is Asuka from Aokana. This is a pin I had to import, but Asuka was probably my favorite of the main heroines, and definitely liked her, so I had to get something of her. This is a Sayori cutout from that DDLC Plus. Yeah, this as I'm still trying to figure out where to put her, so I think I'll just leave her at work, I guess. You know how earlier I talked about how I got If My Hearted Wings crew sign for a figure for the Kotori figure? Well, this is it. This is the little thing that comes with it. So if you happen to get a brand new copy of crew sign for PS4 or Vita physical, you should be able to get this figure still. I have a few other pins or keychains here. I have one of Sumika from Muv-Luv. I believe Muv-Luv was at there's a Muv-Luv demo at Anime Expo a few years ago, and I just grabbed a Sumika pin because she's pretty easily best girl from there. This Kotori pin, I think I just imported. I actually don't remember exactly. I have a Shizuru from Rewrite figure that I think I just got from eBay or something. And finally, this is a little acrylic stand of Mashiro for making levers. So this is an import that actually came with all five main heroines.
But since Machiro's easily the best girl and the only one I cared about, I actually did a little giveaway on my Discord and YouTube, and I gave the other and Reddit, and I gave the other four heroines away basically. So yeah, those are all gone, but Machiro's definitely staying here with me, and I definitely don't plan on getting rid of her anytime soon. And yeah, that's basically it for all the merch. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions on any of the merch, or if you want to see something, or just have any other feedback or whatever, feel free to leave a comment below.